Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This is going to be a fiddly one. Okay, we're going to have a go at a Tolumnia that's basically dying. I don't know why, but I've got to try and stop it. Now, that's quite a good Tolumnia. Yeah, it's got lots of roots on it. It's got a lot of good fans on it. Has it got any flower spikes? Has it heck? But anyway, I mean, that's the sort of general appearance. I mean, these used to be called oncidiums. They were in the oncidium group, along with nearly everything else in the world nowadays. Equitant oncidiums, they were sort of called. It's something to do with the shape of the leaves. They are unusual, these leaves. They're very thick. That's not a wispy little leaf like you would expect on us. It's a solid, succulent, triangular shaped leaf with a groove down the centre. That's what they look like. And for me, they are attractive plants. I like them. I've got 15 of them. Maybe 14 if this one doesn't make it. But anyway, I mean, that's just a hybrid. Oriental pear, that one. That came from the RHS show last April, that was. There's another one. Again, you get the drift of the type of growth habit. They do have creeping rhizomes, and in their natural environment they grow on twigs. They grow on bushes that have got possibly some leaves or very little leaves, and they just hang on the twigs, so they don't have any media at all in their natural environment. Nothing. They grow on twigs. Some grow on what you'd call smaller branches, but these are not bushes and shrubs that are covered in moss and things like that. They're often growing on bare twigs, and you can see their roots have a habit of creeping along things. Now in their natural environment, those would creep along the twigs, and the plant would sort of advance along the twigs as it sort of creeps about its business. So they are a nice plant. What was that? That's some peach. Oh, that also came from that RHS show, I believe. That actually came from a Kearns, the creator of the dreaded rain mix. Although some people think it's wonderful. Not me, but some do. So anyway, that's your normal Tolumnia. Yeah? They're sturdy plants. Good, thick, chunky, succulent leaves. As far as care of Tolumnias is concerned, they will grow in open pots, those little plastic baskets with lots of holes in. They don't mind growing across lava rock. They'd probably do okay in the larger grow stones, but what they don't like is their roots buried in stuff, whatever that stuff might be. That's not how they grow. Now, you might actually successfully grow them in bark, but that's not how they grow. And I always try and get as close to the natural environment as I can. So I'm just scanning this thing to see if it's got any spikes lurking. Nah, not a light. Out of all my Tolumnias, not one spike at the moment. Now come on, you guys, you're pretty, you're smashing spikes, get on and do some. But anyway, what we're going to look at is this beastie. Now this is a species, I've forgotten what it's called. I'll put a pop-up up because the tags come off, but this plant in the last month or so has gone downhill badly. There's a hell of a lot of dieback on it. Now it has got a bit of scale on it. A few of my plants have got scale. I'm working at it. They are a flipping nuisance. This was sprayed a while ago. I wonder if I can show you. It'd be too small to see. But when you've got scale on a plant and you've sprayed it and you've killed it, when you touch that scale with your fingers, they just come off. I mean, there's one there. They just flick off easily, which means they're dead. And hopefully everything that is living under there is dead as well. But you have to keep at them. They do like to come back. They sneak up on you, little tykes. And they mark your leaves. They're a pain. Now that could be why this plant went downhill. But the dieback is incredible. It really is. Most of the roots have gone. But again, because of its creeping habit, it's got lots of good growths on it with good viable roots. So I'm going to take the whole thing off, pick off the good bits, dump the rest, and sort of remount it with a bit of moss on a new piece of bark. See, it could be what it's growing on it doesn't like. you know, it could be that it doesn't like that bit of whatever it is. That's what it was on when I got it. But anyway, I don't think it's going to be difficult to get off. It's going to fall off. Anyway, mounting paraphernalia. We have some moss soaking, nice and wet. Let's get this stuff out of the way. So moss up there out of the way. As with always, we have our 70% rubbing alcohol in the Jack Daniels glass. I wish it had the real stuff in it, but not this time of day. So scissors sterilised, ready to go. That's what I use to kill my bugs, but I've recently learned this stuff must be mixed up fresh and used fresh. Otherwise it just doesn't work. So there's no point in mixing this up just yet. There's also no point in spraying that plant before I go into this operation. First of all, the plant will be soaking wet and it'll be much more fiddly than it's going to be anyway. So when I've mounted it, the pieces that I'm going to keep, I'll give a good spray, and then I'll keep my eye on it and possibly do it a few days time and just keep my eye on it basically. So get that out of the way, I won't be using it now. That's the moss I use for anybody that's interested. That's premium New Zealand sphagnum. It comes in its dry compacted form. I mean that's how it comes out, but this is a solid bale basically. It's a good way to get it because as long as you keep it dry it virtually lasts forever. In that form it's almost indestructible, and then you just pull out some bits as and when you need them. Okay, that's the piece of bark I'm going to use. It's not going back on that piece of bark because that, oh, I think that's cork bark, I'm not sure, but that may be the problem. So I'm going to give it a chance at some different wood, yeah, and we'll see how it does on that. This is a very gnarly piece. These little roots, because they are little, can get all in these crevices and get a good hold. This one's been used before, so it's just been sterilised, which is nothing more than pouring a boiling kettle over it in the sink, leaving it to soak for a bit and steam, and then rinsing it with cold water. So I know there's nothing living on that. So I can go to one side. I've got my fishing line that I use to tie, nice fine stuff. And I've got a separate pair of scissors for dealing with that. And the reason is, those scissors are wet. They stick to this flipping stuff and get this wet, and then that sticks to my fingers, and there might be some swearing, so I've got a separate pair. And of course, we don't do anything in the morning without coffee, which will probably be cold by the time I've finished. So what I'm going to do with this is cut the tiny little bits of what look like raffia that are sort of holding it on. And I'm just going to pull the whole thing off to start with, obviously carefully, but I think it's going to come off. Yeah, it's going to come off easy. All these roots at the back are dead. They have ceased to be non-functional, apart from the fact they were sort of holding it. And if that is the problem, there is a possibility that that is the problem, so I probably won't use that again. But what I could do is weather it, you know, just put it out in the garden, let it get rained on, get the sun on it, and possibly breathe. And it's very hard, it's not rotten or anything. That's probably not the problem. But whatever the problem is, I don't know. This plant is not a happy bunny. Now I'm hoping I can just tease off this bit, which is the better bit. It's going to need some help. Ugh. Yeah. I'm just going to basically take off what is not much good and hopefully leave some good bits. See, I don't want all these dead roots. I'm not going to transfer those across. I just want some nice, good, healthy looking top shoots that have got roots. Things like this. I mean, it has a creeping nature. You can see the gap in the rhizome between the fans is quite long. Now there's some scale, look. On that leaf there. I don't know whether I can get that in close enough. You might not be able to see it, but they just rub off. So I know they're dead. If they're alive, they take a bit of getting off, you know, they take a bit of effort. So when they just ease off like that, I think that's about it. I'm not going to bother with that. let's get that out of the way. So now what I need to do is find some nice pieces that have got good roots on. This is going to be fiddly. I've got to tie this lot on in a minute. It's going to be fun. Take any more off of there? No. See, I don't need loads of this. When it's growing well, it grows at a rate of knots, and that's all I want to try and reintroduce to the plant, is that rate of growth that it used to have, that it just seems to have lost recently. So yeah, we'll keep that bit. Just get myself sorted out here. I'm not going to know what bits I'm keeping and what bits are going. Keep that bit. And keep that bit. That's what I'm after, is another bit of scale there. Look. You tykes. It's just something that I can tie that's got a lead on it, basically, to get it going again. That's my theory. See, that little plantlet there is dying. Don't know why. There's no point in mounting a bit that's dead. No point at all. That's another nice little bit. That bit just pulled off, but it's a good bit. And that bit's got some manky roots down the bottom. That's separate good. I'm going to take that larger fan off the bottom because again it looks like it's dying. And that'll leave that piece. We're getting there. Roots have gone on that one, and that's not enough to warrant keeping, quite honestly. What else we got here? That's not a bad bit. Just take those bottom couple of bits off because they don't look as good as they should do. I can find the rhizome in amongst all these roots. Yep, a little bit of do. Actually, that bit can come off as well. There we go, there's another little bit. What about you? You're not bad. Nice, the rhizomes are tighter together on that, so I'll just take that base off, leaving new roots. This is going to be fun trying. That's not a bad little bit. Yep, we'll have that bit. Now in amongst this lot, I'm hoping to get a couple of good bits here. Yep. Flipping scale. I'm trying to get them as I come across them. But as I say, they are coming off so easy. They are dead. That doesn't mean to say that they're not going to come back. Just because they're dead. The ones I can see are dead. You've got the other stages on these things. The scale that you see on the leaves, the little limpet shapes, that's the adult phase. And in underneath that little shell, protective shell, that often protects them from your chemical sprays. But this soapy stuff suffocates them. You know, they can hide under there, but they can't breathe. So it kills them. Okay, we'll keep that little bit. What else we got? Well, that's a nice little bit. We'll have that. You're a nice little bit. No. And no. And no. I think that will do. Quite honestly, that's enough. That's enough to get this thing going again and hopefully rejuvenate it, because I don't really want to lose it. It's never bloomed for me. I just had a look on the internet, see if I can find some pictures of it in the wild. If you can find pictures like that, it gives you a clue of how it really would grow, as opposed to in a nursery when it's how they grow it. Might be the same, might not. Right, this is going to be fiddly. What I'm going to have to try and do is, I'm not putting much moss on here. As I said, this grows on twigs. I just want a little bit so that some of the roots next summer, when we get the heat wave again, ha ha, if we do, have got something that holds the moisture just a little bit longer than a couple of hours. Now in their natural environment, they often don't get rain for quite a long time, and they often grow in full sun. These are hardy little beasts, but they get morning dew and the dew point in the evening, when the temperature drops down again, you sometimes get moisture. And that's what they get. And that's what they live on a lot of the time. Just the dew. And obviously the humidity in the air. I think this one originates from Cuba. So, you know, you've got relatively moist air compared with some parts of the world. Actually, I think that's enough. I really don't want these roots to be soaking wet, but I want them to have some of the roots capable of staying moist longer than that very, very short period first thing in the day. It's been hanging bare for quite a long time, and it grew reasonably well, and for some reason it stopped. Now, I don't know why it stopped, but I've got to try and compensate. So now all I'm going to do is place these. I'm not going to put any moss over the top of the roots, not this time. I know I normally do, but this time they're just going to sit on the moss. And they're all going to sit one on top of the other, all tangled up, exactly as they would be in their natural environment. And the idea is to get a good mass of plantlets all over this piece of bark. I'm deliberately letting some of the roots hang off the bottom of the bark, so they'll be in the air as such, which is what they would normally do. I mean, a lot of them would be hanging on to the twigs, and they would be firmly attached, because it doesn't matter what part of the world you come in, we still get that magic thing called the wind. And when the wind comes, these little beasties have got to be able to hang on, or they'll take off and they'll be off out to sea. They won't grow out there, that's for sure. So the idea is to get a good mass, and that way it hopefully will take off again. Whoa, get a bit in there. Yeah, I think that's covered. There's another scale. Look, here they just wipe off. When they wipe off like that, they're dead. But they can get in there. I mean, look at that. See, they've got right down in there. Now that may be why this plant's keeled over. Yeah, that may be just it, is that it can't cope with the scale. They're such tiny little plantlets. If you think about it, the scale is sucking the life out of those tiny little leaves, and that's probably, in fact it's quite likely now I think about it, what's caused its demise. It's me allowing things to get a hold when they flipping well shouldn't. Right, relatively that's the easy bit. Now I've got to try and tie it on. And this is not the easy bit. It's not going to get tied tight, it's going to get tied quite loose. I want the roots to do the job, not the tie. That's my theory. If this works, it'll be a flipping miracle. But I am going to have to go round quite a few times. And in addition to that, as a consequence of all those little plantlets sitting one on top of the other, I am going to squash some. But they will push on. Right, here we go. Coffee required. Yeah, it's difficult to say why this one hasn't bloomed. I've probably had this Tolumnia longer than any of my others, but no blooms. So you can't exactly say that's not a mature plant, because it is, but it hasn't bloomed, and there's got to be a reason for that, which I still haven't found. I mean, it gets light. Looking on the internet, it says bright light, Cattleya light, so maybe it needs to go a bit nearer the roof. The consequence of me putting this nearer the roof is it'll get a bit more warmth as well, and it'll dry out quicker. Now for this, that's possibly good. Whether it's right will remain to be seen, but my goal is to just rejuvenate this plant and get it to start again, because it's not a happy bunny. I don't like non-happy bunnies in my plant room. I like to do my best for my orchids, and when it isn't good enough I try and find out why, because it's going to be me. I mean, sometimes it's just a lousy plant, you do buy them, sometimes you get conned basically by the wonderful blooms and think I must have that orchid, and you get it home and you think, God, that media is awful, I need to repot it, and you get it out of the pot and you think, oh God, it's got no roots, why did I buy that? But you did, and then you try and rescue it, and so it goes on. The game continues. Actually, this is going a lot easier than I thought it was going to do, and I'm just trying to thread this in between some of the little growths so that they hang loose, you know, they're not actually tied back to the bark, and that actually seems to be working quite well. I'm quite pleased with that. Are they all going to stay there? Yeah, that's good enough. And then I'll just come down relatively quickly and diagonally to get down to where I need to tie off. That actually was a lot easier than I was expecting. Oh, well, I feel better now, because I thought that was going to be so fiddly there would be some language. Especially with my clumsy blinking hands. I'm just trying to get hold of that loop with the scissors, because it's easier than with my Gotcha. It's easier than with my fingers. I just need to get a tying point. Oh no, I'll have to make a new label. I don't know what the hell happened to the old label. It went somewhere. Right, I do believe that is, as they say, it. There we go. Now it does look a bit flat at the moment, but I might try and tease a few more of those little fans out, but some of them are hanging loose, yeah? So it will be able to climb away from the mount if it chooses to do so. Now that needs a good spray now to, you know, to see if there's any scale left and give it a chance to sort of recover. Well, that's the other thing with this stuff. Yes, it's a bug killer, but you have to look at the other word as well. It's SB plant invigorator and bug killer, yeah? Because basically it's got some feed in it. I think it's probably a type of nitrogen, but it's got a foliar feed in it, as well as the soapy wash ability to suffocate pests. It even has a go at mildew, apparently. Well, again, mould and things like that are types of spores, pathogens, whatever you want to call them. So they are sort of alive, and if they can't breathe, they're dead. Most things that can't breathe are dead. Okay, so the idea is that you kill your bugs and you give your plant a little kick through a foliar feed. Now, that doesn't sound like a bad idea to me, so that's really why I'm using it. So there we go then. One tiny little Tolumnia. Little and large. Yeah, I mean, if you the fans really are tiny, and they do grow away. Their rhizomes are quite long, or whatever you would call those. I suppose they are rhizomes, but the bits that join the fans together have quite long gaps. Now I'm hoping that will push on nicely now. I'll get my spraying done and get him back in the plant room. Okay, what was going to be expected the most fiddly mount I've ever done, it turned out to be incredibly simple. I mean, strictly speaking, I should try and tease a few more of these leaves out because they are trapped in behind there, but the new growths will push away, and they do grow quite quickly, but as I said, it slowed down recently, and that lot happened. So something went wrong, and relatively quickly. We'll hope it picks up. Okay, so thanks for dropping by, thanks for watching and all that. Oh, what else was I going to say about people? Yes, subscribers, thank you very much. I seem to be getting quite high. There is a downside to that from my point of view. At some point in the relatively near future, I hope, it will be nice, I'm going to get up to the old 1,000 mark, and I'll have to do the plant giveaway thing, which, yeah, I'm going to do it because everybody does. You know, it is quite an achievement. I've only been going since February, so it's going up at a rate of knots. So I think I'm heading up to about the 900 mark like now. So get your buddies together, kick them over to my channel. Let's get me up to 1,000 and then somebody gets a free plant. Unfortunately, they will have to be in the EU, providing I get there while we're still in the EU and we're still allowed to post plants across the borders. But obviously posting outside of that region would just be not on, basically. But yeah, I'll do it when I get there, and hopefully it won't be too long. And another thing on people, I'm not sure I should have said about my daughter on YouTube. That is a worldwide media source, but it's done now, and I'd like to thank everybody who, you know, for their wishes and prayers if you do that sort of thing. But thanks, it's well appreciated. And I'll see you next time when I can think of something else to put on video. Cheers for watching, bye for now.